Check 1 2, check 1 2. What is up, guys? Today we are going over Friday's price action for SPY, SPX, and QQQ. Um, Sorry if I have my son with me right now, so he might be asking me questions during this, but we'll stick through it. So in my last video, I showed you how I made my levels. So right before open, these are our 1 hour zones that I've seen. Um, One thing I want to go over before we start is we always have to check our higher time frames for gaps. So what I mean by that is SPX, we had a gap, um, which is right here. You bring it all the way over here. I always make my gaps gray. Um, what happens with these gaps is they either price action gets inside of it and fills it to the bottom, or they reject it multiple times and go higher, or vice versa. So here we had this large gap. Um, if you see, so right before open, which is right here, this is right when it market opens. I noticed that we were in this gap. Um, so just keep that in mind. I can bring it back here. Also, right when SPX doesn't have a pre-market, so right when market opens, um, SPX will open at a different price. So even though we were in this overall gap zone, I still label the gap from yesterday to open. So we put it like this, we make it gray, lock it in. Um, so okay. So now that we know we're in this gap zone, we got our 1 hour zones. We can go over it. One thing also is that we had news at 10. So this purple vertical line I made is SPY news. You can even see on SPX. So we always identify when SPY news hits because traders they like to wait to take a entry after news hits, because if you're in the trade, like you wanted this to go down and news was bullish, it would affect the trade. Um, yeah, just don't overthink that, but that's what happens. So the right one SPY opened up. Um, I noticed that I noticed in pre-market we had this bull flag, right? So what happened here is the bull flag confirmed. It confirmed and went higher, tested the zone. But I did not take this only due to QQQ. So from 940, we see what happens with QQQ. As you can see, we were just chopping, and QQQ just kind of um, did this thing here. You could say that this was a pennant, kinda, not really. Kind of hard to see here. Something like this. Um, I don't like to enter when the stock just breaks and just takes off so fast, because you're gonna get a bad fill and the price is gonna reverse on you. So what I do is I wait for a retest. So what happened here was it broke as well as this one. This one broke and took off, but I was waiting for a retest. You could see that the retest just gave up. So I did not take this because the retest um it was not in. Um so market open, this took off um from 938. SPX was in this zone. Also, it was um under the 4 hour level. So if we take from 9, let's see. So 938. Let's see what happens with SPY at 938. 938. Okay. Okay. So I would not take calls on SPY if SPX is under this key level. So from 938, we even on SPY we were still under this key level and also under pre-market high. So strong resistance here. So I did not take this. Um, so this I was still waiting, right? Um, my entry is based off when SPX, SPY, and QQQ are all in uptrends, are all in downtrends with retest. So here we just get a break of the bull flag. We got the retest, but here is when market opens. So I'm still like skeptical of this bull flag. Um, I noticed that this bull flag also had this pennant inside of it. So if I draw it in, um, you see that this pennant is right here. And I always label my middle of pennants purple. You can see we bounced right off of it. So let's get rid of these. So when SPY took off, I did not take it because um, news was still at 10. We were under this key level and under pre-market, as well as the SPX under this key level, and also QQQ once it broke out, the retest failed. I'm most of the time I don't enter when these breaks because you could see exactly what happened is we just fell off. I always wait for the retest. Um, so what happened was we bounced, we rejected it, and came back down and bounced here off of the support. News hit. I noticed we had a large rejection from this 1 hour zone. So even though we bounced here and went higher, I did not take calls because what can happen here is we can reject. Look how far that rejection came down. As well as QQQ breaking out, rejected right before news. So mainly I was just watching price action and just waiting for news to hit. Same with SPX. This is a key factor from SPX. Um, if this filled right here, filled the gap, you could see that we had like a little bit of tiny room here. That is a bearish sign because buyers should be strong enough to make the fill of this gap, but it did not. So from being under this key resistance, it broke out, but I wanted to see what was gonna happen in this zone. But when this was pushing up, this followed. But what happened was we did not get the fill. So that to me was a bearish sign, as well as QQQ rejecting. So I was waiting patiently for a play to come to me. Uh, so after news hit, um, you can see here what SPX did was we did the exact same thing. We went under here, hit, went higher, and look what happened again. We did not fail. So that is another bearish sign to me, right? Um, what I noticed was that SPX was in a uptrend. It was in this uptrend, and what happened was I noticed that SPX made this triangle, which is a ascending triangle because it goes up. This is resistance and this is a support. So if we take a look at my patterns that I have, play patterns, um, here you can see that it is identical. So we either break up, fall to breakout, and go down. We can either keep rejecting and break down. We can break out. Like I said, I always wait for a retest and go higher. Um, this is perfect because we get the retest and your stop loss is right here. And you get confirmation. So that is what I'm looking at. So as everything's just going crazy before news, I was patiently waiting. Um, so what happens? You get this support, you get a resistance. I usually turn my patterns purple. So here we notice that it's a ascending triangle. So what I was looking for was we break and retest and make a move higher. Mainly what I was paying attention to was this gap fill. I wanted to see if we could fill it because what happens was we did not fill it twice, but once we filled it, that to me was a signal that SPX is bullish, as well as breaking out of this pattern. Um, Also, I did not take puts on SPY here, is only because there's a lot of support here, especially these middle pennants. They always bounce. You can see it just bounced and just took off. But same with QQQ. You can add the middle pennant in here. What happens is broke out. We waited for a retest. Retest just gave up, but held this 4-hour level, and it was right before noon, so we're just waiting. I noticed that we kept rejecting these 1-hour zones. Um, so this is where my entry was. So now that news passed, um, we have a couple new levels intraday. Key thing was this breaking out. Once this was broke out, I noticed that this bounced, and what happened here was we made a higher high. So this was the intraday high, and we broke above it. So this breaking out, this making a new high, and also QQQ breaking out. This is where I entered the trade. I always say that a 4-hour level to a 4-hour level is a bullish fill. So this whole thing filled. I always say that it's a bullish fill because price is so strong. that we fill this 4-hour levels, which are magnets. So that was an indicator that the QQQ was strong because we got this 4-hour fill as well as spot support. So now that news got out of the way, we notice that SPX we broke out here. This is a bullish sign as well. Bullish. SPY bounced on a support, made a new high. This is bullish. Remember what I said, a 4-hour level right here from a 4-hour level is bullish because the price is so strong, we just feel it. So now that we understand that price, now that we understand that news is out of the way and SPY got a 4-hour fill as well as QQQ, and we both held these middle pennants. If price wanted to go lower, we would have broke these, but we did not. We made a new high. Same with QQQ, rejected. Made a false breakdown. This is why I always say wait for a retest, because what can happen is you break down, like, oh, it's gonna come down, so you take puts, but look at the retest. The retest did not work out. But if the retest did work out, we would have seen lower. But no, people were waiting for SPY news. So now that we established that we're all, this is where I alerted to take, and that's it. Like, um, you can just see the rest is history. Um, main thing, main focus is to let the play come to you. What usually happens at market open is that these stocks are just bouncing back and forth. So what happens is you let the chart develop and also read your levels. For example, we read this resistance here, because it couldn't fill it. And once it filled, that was a sign that it was bullish and can go higher. Remember, we only enter trades when all these pairs line up because they can affect each other, right? So what happens was, even though we broke out of this bull flag, I always wait for a retest. As you can see, the retest was pretty dead on, but we were still before news, so I was still kind of skeptical. Um, pairs are pairs affect each other, so if all stocks are in uptrends, what's going to stop them? You know what I'm saying? Like, and if all pairs are in downtrends, what's going to stop them? This is why these stocks run so much, is because they're all in uptrends and everyone's buying, vice versa. Um, yeah, that's pretty much. My next video, I'll go over more of these 1-hour zones because they're very key, as you can see. Um, you can tell, look at this, it just bounced and rejected, bounce, like, come on, these are dead on. But yes, you could just tell, these are the 5 minutes. You could just tell that it went up, came back down, went up, tried to come back down, and went up. Like, here, went up, came back down, went up, took off. Here, opened, we went up, tried to fill, we couldn't, came back down, bounced off of this level, tried to fill again, came back down, went up, finally filled it. So That was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, almost an hour of waiting for this pattern um, to form. So that is why you let the play come to you. And if you waited, look, you would have got paid out, right? You would have got paid out. That's it for today. Just wait. Key takeaway: just wait for a play to come to you. Um, Make sure to label your middle of pennants because look what happens. These middle of pennants here, they act like magnets. Here, you see that? We went overextended, came right back down. Same with QQQ, overextended, came right back down to here. Um, oh, one main thing that I need to go over is that not fighting the trend. Here, um, for QQQ, I saw that there was this uptrend. Oh, let's see here. Okay. So in pre-market, we had this uptrend here, and we had this uptrend, as well as this uptrend here. See, oh, like right here to like right there. So this was very key. As you can see, you don't play against the trend. Even though this pennant, if it could break down and test this trend, it will hold. Um, Here, this is what I mean. Let me show you a better example. This is very key here. Let's see. See here. Okay, it's my section. Give me 1 second here. So this is kind of taking a while, but I like a search button. Like damn. Oh, here we go. ND trend. Okay, this is perfect. I want to go over. Okay, here we go. Not this one. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is what I'm going over. We identified the QQQ uptrend, and just because we lost this trend, the overall uptrend held. And look what happened. We held that uptrend and took off. Um, so here we held this uptrend, and I noticed that on the 5 minute, I noticed that we also created a fair value gap. This was also my entry, based off my entry. Um, right here. If I delete this, you see that this candle had made a gap. This first candle, second candle, impulse, third candle created this gap. So what happens here is we see how we react to this fair value gap. As you can see, buyers held it up. Once this candle closed, buyers were present here and held this up. So that was also my entry, was um that this fair value gap held. Um yeah, so SPX ascending trial breakout, SPY middle pennant held, made a new high, as well as QQQ overall uptrend held, as well as middle pennant held, and we also held this fair value gap. So everything in these charts are bullish. So that is when we take a bullish entry. Um, yep, that's all I can think of. Hopefully this helps you guys. Just remember that these pairs affect each other, and it's best to wait for confirmation. Because if you waited for SPY confirmation like I did, look how far it ran. Right? You're not do not have FOMO. Um, yeah. Have a good day, guys. Good day.